Hey everybody, this is Brett, and I'm on my second day of a water fast, and I feel pretty good. I did one just 3 or 4 days ago for 3 days, and I kind of needed to just get some food in me and get a little energy before I did another one. So I'm doing another one now, and I don't know how long it'll last, but basically as soon as my body lets me know that I need to come off of it, then I will. Remember, it's not a race. Healing is not a race, and just take things one step at a time. But today I'd like to tell you about my first experience with fasting, water fasting, on Pepcid. And it's odd, I know it sounds really odd, but here's how it came about. 20 years ago, I owned an auto detailing business in San Diego, California, and I was trying to make as much money as possible. That was my focus, business and making money. And I was in my mid-20s, and I had acne problems, and I had done a lot of tetracycline and erythromycin, various antibiotics to try and rid myself of that problem, prescribed to me by the dermatologist, and I really screwed up my digestive flora big time. And so I didn't know anything about that. I'd never been to a health food store. I'd never read any health books. I knew absolutely nothing about holistic healing in any way, shape, or form. So what I did was I went to a medical doctor and told him about my stomach acid problems, my indigestion, and he prescribed to me Pepcid, 50 milligram Pepcid tablets 3 times a day, and to drink as much water as I needed. Plenty of water, he said. So that's what I did. I went home and I started taking my Pepcid, and that turned off the acid, but I didn't feel like eating anything. I basically just kind of felt nauseous, and so I knew it was healing me. I was healing, and because I just felt it in my stomach, I felt like, oh yay, more acid, great. And so I just kept drinking water and not eating anything and consuming my 3 50 milligram Pepcids a day. And on about the 3rd day, when I didn't feel like working, so I basically just put off work. I called all my appointments and canceled them and told them I'd call back later. But on about the 3rd day, I started to get sick, really sick, and I basically, for the following 3 days, was so fucking sick. I puked and I shit and I pissed, and all night long I sweated and rolled in my bed. And it was getting to the point of where I could hardly stand up as I got out of bed, because bear in mind, up to that point I was just living on fast food, because I didn't have time to stop and actually cook healthy food. I knew nothing about organic food. I probably didn't even know what the word organic meant. All I did was to go out and wash cars at people's offices and at their homes, and polish them and use chemicals on the motors and acids on the rims, and I had absolutely zero respect or understanding about natural healing and health at all. And so all of the loose toxins in my body were coming to the surface and releasing in any way they possibly could. I was crying, I was praying, God, help me to get through this. God, please help me to get through this. I didn't have any money in the bank, not much. You know, I had some cash flow, but I didn't have a savings, and I was, you know, there were times that I felt like calling the ambulance to come pick me up. I'm gonna die. And several times I fell down on the floor because I was so dizzy. I'd get up, and I learned that I better not get up very fast because you may lose it and fall down, you know, because my blood sugars were probably extremely low and my blood was so toxic, and it would just hit me when I stood up, you know. And after about 6 days of not consuming any food and just water and my 3 Pepcids a day, I woke up that following morning and I walked up to the mirror and I looked at myself standing there in my underwear, and it looked as though I had lost 20 or 25 pounds because I had a totally flat stomach. It looked like I didn't have any fat left on my body. My face was different, and I felt my face, and it was like, oh my God, this is totally, what did I do? And over the coming days, I felt as though I was in a totally new world. And it's so hard to describe. It was like I seriously thought that I had mutated into a new world somehow. And you know, I've always enjoyed sci-fi and stuff on television and movies, and that was kind of how it was like I'd gone to another planet or something. And I had done recreational drugs, cocaine, pot. I'd even smoked crack once when I lived in Hollywood when I was young. And I had never felt a high like this before. And I had actually, it was better than having done acid too. And at night I would go down to La Jolla Shores, and I had my boombox with me, and throughout that entire fasting thing I was listening to the Moody Blues. I was listening to a lot of, like, I'd put it on to repeat the songs Tuesday Afternoon and Nights in White Satin over and over and over again, just to kind of keep my mind off of being so fucking sick. And I'd take my boombox down to La Jolla Shores at night, and just to get away from the house. And don't ask me how I drove, but I mean, I felt pretty good, but my mind was in such a different world that it's hard to even comprehend it anymore. But I'd go up to people at their fires at night and just sit down with them at their fires. I had no apprehension about just going up to, it was like I was a dog, you know, how dogs would just come up to people and befriend you. I was like that, and I had no anger anymore. For the first time in my life, I had no anger about anything, you know. And I've always been, and still am to a degree, an angry person about whatever, this or that. But at this time, I had no anger towards anyone and no fear. And I would just walk up to people and sit down next to their fires at night in La Jolla at the beach and listen to the waves and play the Moody Blues and a couple of other different CDs that I had. And they'd be drinking beer, or they'd be making out, or they'd be doing this or that, and I just sit and enjoy the warmth of the fire and nature. And this went on for about 10 days of not eating any food and just drinking water. I didn't have to drink near as much water now, but I just kept drinking water. And soon I decided that maybe I had better get back to work because I was running out of money, you know. And I had people calling me saying, hey, I need you to come work on my car, you know, are you okay, blah 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 blah. And so I decided, well, I better book some appointments. gradually I started to come out of that euphoria, thank God, sort of, and I decided that I'd better eat something after I'd done a few detailing jobs. I was down in Mission Valley, and I decided that I would stop at McDonald's and get a breakfast platter with sausage and scrambled eggs. That was my first food after having been off of food for 10 days and just consuming my 3 Pepcids a day. And so I did, and it digested, and I was okay, and I was like, man, maybe I'll just have to stay on this Pepcid forever. And that didn't seem right, but I was like, well, I feel good. But 3 or 4 days later, the acid indigestion started coming back. And then I went to my follow-up appointment with the doctor after 21 days, and I told him the story, and he said, it's amazing that you didn't die. And I truly believe that. It was a miracle that I didn't die. But it was God, it was such an incredible time in my life. And soon thereafter I went to an allergist because what I was doing wasn't working, and I learned that I was allergic to wheat and dairy and soy and peanuts and a whole slew of other foods. And so, I mean, I couldn't just stop consuming all of them at once. But anyways, that started my health journey 20 years ago. That's what kicked me in. And I started to learn about macrobiotics and eating naturally. Soon thereafter, I started to go to the health food store because it didn't make sense to consume foods that had pesticides on them. Soon thereafter, I sold my auto detailing business and moved away from San Diego because that energy was no longer conducive to my new life. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm fasting right now, and I'm somewhat emotional, and I'm doing a lot of crying and praying and stuff, and I'm doing a tremendous amount of healing. And I hope that you'll continue to see me. I know that you'll continue to see me progress and get healthier. I'm doing a lot of good things in this world, and I believe that as long as you or whoever is fulfilling your purpose in life, that you will be blessed with whatever you need to continue to do your job while you're here. Thank you.